Great. Hi, and welcome to this webinar titled Our Birds of the St. Lawrence River. My name is Jean-Daniel Fizette. I work as a conservation project officer at the FNQ LSDI, and birds are my specialty. So this is why I'm presenting you today this webinar. The main goal of the event is to present you all the birds we can find along the shores, along the coast of the St. Lawrence River. So our main focus will be on marine birds. We will see other birds too that we can find along the shores, not necessarily in the water, but that like the river and stay close to it to feed, to nest. So we will cover a lot of species. I will not teach you how to identify them with certainty. This is not the goal. I really just want to present to you the rich diversity of birds that we can find in this habitat. So the first part of the presentation will be on the birds, but we have other parts too that we will see together. I will present to you the eBird platform. That's the website and an app where you can submit bird observations, bird sightings, and where you can access to millions of pictures, of sounds, of videos of birds. So this is a great tool to use if you want to learn about birds or make bird surveys. And I will show you the gear that you need in order to make a good bird survey. So we'll talk binoculars, telescope, cameras. We will go all over it together. But for now, we will start with the birds, the main subject. So let's jump into it. The first species is the common eider. As you will see before I begin, as you will see, the names are there in English, in French, and in Innu. The main reason why we only have Innu as a First Nation language is because our bird projects at the FNQ-LSDI are, for the moment, mainly done with the Innu communities of the North Coast. So we made a lexicon with all the bird names that we could find. We don't have all the names. Some maybe don't exist yet, but we have most of them. And if you don't speak Innu and you know a lot of bird names in your own language from your own nation, please share them with us so we can make another lexicon in another language, and hopefully we will have all the birds' name in all the First Nation languages. So we will be able to make great presentations for you too. As I was saying, we're starting with the common eider. This is, in French, we could translate it to the dawn or dawny eider, because this bird, to build its nest, it uses its dawn. So the nest is fluffy and comfortable for the eggs. And humans will use the dawn after the nesting is over, after the young have left the nest. Humans can collect the dawn and make coats with it, make warm clothes. So this bird is actually very important to some communities. And don't worry, the birds are not harmed during this process because the dawn is already in the nest and the nest are already used, and they will not last all year. So the birds, anyway, the birds will have to build them again the year after. So no harm done to the eiders. The male is very easily recognizable, black and white duck. But the female, this will be the case with almost all duck species. The female is very often brown, sometimes have little touch of black, of white sometimes. But the goal here for the female is to remain unseen, because the female will lay the eggs, will sit on them, and after that will take care of the young. So her goal is to not be seen by the predators. So that's why very often the female in bird species, the female have very drab brown colors, and the male is flamboyant. The male wants to be seen, wants to impress the females. And that's why the female will stay alone with the eggs and with the young, so that the male doesn't stay there and risk to be seen by predators and bring them to the nest. So usually the female will stay alone with the young, and as soon as the male's job is done, he will leave and stay on other water surfaces with other males. This will be the case for all the other duck species. Next one. Um, this one is called the black scotter. We have 3 scotter species in Quebec, so we'll see the 3 of them one after the other. The first one is the black scotter. It's the smallest one, and it doesn't have a lot of features to recognize it, except the yellow bill. So that's the main thing that we look for in this bird. That's for the male. The female, as you can see again, is brown, but the way that we can differentiate the female of the black scotter from the other females of the other species is the white is the white on the side of the face. There's a lot of pale of white that we will not find that on the other females. Next, we have the surf scotter. This one, the male has a white forehead and the nape too. And you can see that the bill is very colorful. There's some red, orange, and white. So the male, again, is very easily recognizable. The female, as you see, doesn't have all of the side of the face white, only a spot in front and a spot behind the eye. So that's a way to differentiate them. And if they're one next to another, the black scotter is smaller and the surf scotter is much bigger. Next bird, the white-winged scotter. The face pattern, there's not much to work with here. Just a little bit of white around the eye, and there's a little bit of orange on the bill. But it's actually the easiest scotter to recognize, even from a distance when they're in flight, because of the big white patch on the wing. So when they're in flight, they're very easily recognizable. And speaking of in flight, I will go on the eBird platform. I mentioned it earlier. On this platform, we can find pictures and videos. So I will show you a video of white-winged scotters. So that's the eBird platform. That's the website. And now right away, I will go into the part of the website when we can find all the videos. This is Northern Gannet. I want the white-winged scotter, so I will play the video for you. So as you can see, even with a poor quality video, we can recognize instantly a black duck with a big white patch in the wing. And as you can see, the last one, the fourth one at the end of the line, it's not a black scotter. We can see that it doesn't have white in the wing. Though I couldn't say which species it is, because from that distance, with the poor quality, I cannot differentiate a duck that's all black like this. We'll go back to our birds. So those were the scotters, black scotter, surf scotter, and white-winged scotter. So the 3 of them are generally black duck with some orange, some white. Next one is the long-tailed duck. This is another duck that we can find in a lot of places along the St. Lawrence River, especially in the North Coast and in Gaspésie. This one, the male is recognizable easily, even from afar, by its long central feathers in the tail, which the female doesn't have. And when it's not for those long feathers, it can be hard to differentiate male, female, young, adult, because they have a lot of different plumages. I will go back on the Macaulay library and I will show you the diversity. Here we are. I will write long-tailed duck. We don't want videos, we want pictures. We will select the best ones. So there you are. So you can see that this is a female, white in the front of the face with some black, a white collar. After that, here we see a male with the long tail feathers. Here the face is mostly white, some pink at the bill, and a big black patch behind the face. Here's another phase of the plumage with just some white in front and a lot of black up to the chest. So as you can see, we can have a lot of different colors on this duck, but usually it's mostly black, white, and brown. Next one, even a more colorful duck, the harlequin duck. This one is mostly found in the Gaspésie region. So as you can see, it's beautiful, and it's a rock and roll duck. It likes to go in rivers with rapids, turbulent waters, along rocky capes. So that's a bird that likes moving water. But it doesn't phase it because when it's feeding, it will go under the water to go and find its food. And by the way, all the ducks that we're seeing up to now, and even a couple after, are diving ducks. So those are a group of ducks that dive to find food. There's another group that doesn't do this. We will see later what it's called. And a tip to differentiate the female is again brown, but it has a small, well-defined white dot behind the face. And the scotters, we don't find that in female scotters. They also have white in the face, but they never have a well-defined small dot like that. Now the golden eye, that's a very special duck with it's all a yellow golden eye. So the common has a big round spot, round white spot in front of the face, and has a lot of white overall too. I'm talking about though the repartition of the white mainly because there's another species of goldeneye that look alike a lot. The common goldeneye is the Barrow's goldeneye. You can see the small differences, like the white spot is not round in front of the face. It has a crescent shape, and on the back it has much less white. Only a small part is white. It reminds piano notes. That's what we use to differentiate them. And the shape of the head can be used too, but it's more difficult for beginners and even experts to differentiate them just with the shape of the bill and the head. As you can see, the females look a lot alike. So the head shape and the shape of the bill will be the main tools that we use to differentiate them, but again, it's very hard. And in the bufflehead now, he's in the family of the goldeneye, even if its name isn't something goldeneye. But it's in the family. It's smaller than the barrel and common goldeneye. And it's very easy to recognize this bird. It's called bufflehead because it has a big head like a bison, like a buffalo. And a big part of the head is white. So even when they're far away, it's very easy to identify them. Next, we have the mergansers. In French, they used to be called sawbills because of the tooth. So yeah, ducks have small, sharp teeth that helps them to catch fish, and so they don't get away. So the common merganser has a green head, mostly white body. It's found primarily in rivers. We have another species, the red-breasted merganser, so more colorful merganser, and you can see that it has a big crest, a wispy crest. So its crest is more fluffy than the crest of the common merganser. That can be a trick to differentiate them, especially the female who look really a lot alike. The bill can be something that you look forward to. The red-breasted merganser has a long, thin bill, and the common merganser has a more stronger bill. And we have a third merganser, the hooded merganser. It's an eccentric. It has a lot of color and a big crest, a big hood that is black and white. And this one is found primarily on small water surfaces. They can be found in campings in a place where there is a water waste. It's not a difficult duck, and in the summer it will nest in the boreal forest. And I didn't say it earlier, but the red-breasted merganser is mostly found in the St. Lawrence River. All those ducks can visit different different body of waters, but they often have specialties. So we will most of the time find them on a specific body of water. Next duck, the lesser scaup and the greater scaup. So those are two different species, but they look a lot alike. The main things that we look for is the shape of the head, the shape of the bill, and the greater scaup is bigger than the lesser scaup too. That's where they get their names from. And the lesser scaup, we will see it closer to the summer, so later in spring, earlier in fall. And the greater scaup is more northernly, so we will see it earlier in the spring when it's colder, and later in fall when it's also colder. So those are very difficult duck to differentiate on the field. You should only try it if you have experience with them. So those two other these are not called scaups, but they're in the same family as the two we've seen just before. So there's the red head, very easy to recognize with its red head. It's a duck found mostly in the south of the province. And there's the ring-neck duck, a lot of colors. Well, it's mostly black and white and gray, but it's very easy to differentiate it from the two other scaups with the white on the beak, the black back, the gray flanks, and a little bit of flashy white in front. So that was it for the diving ducks. The other group of ducks I talked to you earlier about are the dabbling ducks. So I wanted to save time. Those are less associated with the St. Lawrence River because dabbling ducks like small bodies of water, but in migration we can see all of them on the river. So I put them in the presentation, but I put them all in the same slide. As you can see, they're very colorful for the male. And pretty easy to identify when we learn them. I will talk only about the mallard that you probably know, the mallard that is everywhere, but it was not the case 100 years ago. So it's been in expansion. And before it was the American black duck that is just under the picture under. That was the American black duck that was everywhere. So the mallard is slowly taking the place of the American black duck. I don't think it will ever replace it, but it's taking more and more space and habitat. And anyway, the American black duck is more northernly, so we will find it in great quantities in the north coast in Gaspésie. So when there's a big bodies of water, the black duck is present. And now we are done with the ducks, but there are many other families of birds that we can find on the St. Lawrence River. Mostly birds that like to go far away from the shore, but we can sometimes see them close to. So here we have the loons, common loon. You probably know it very well. We hear them when we're on lakes, on the territory, in the woods. They like to nest on lakes, so we can find them almost everywhere in Quebec. Its cousin is the red-throated loon. So this one will nest much higher, even in the Arctic. And we can see it in migration, but we have to go a little bit northern. We'll have to go a little bit north to see it in summer. I could show you the distribution map. That will help you understand. So I will go back on the eBird website, and if I want to use it, I will go and explore species map. I will enter the name of the bird. So here we will start with the common loon. And I want to show them where they nest. So I will select the July period. And you will see that there are a lot of common loons in the southern part of Quebec, but there are less of them when we go north. So a few mentions up here. So as you can see, it's almost everywhere along the St. Lawrence River and in the woods too. Now I'll show you the comparison with the red-throated loon. Oops. And there you will see that in July, very fewer mentions. We can still see it. But if we go up north, you will see that it can be found on top of the world, literally. So it can go very, very high to nest. But we still get to see them in migration, so in spring and in fall. So that tells us that this bird does a great deal of distance to go nest in the perfect place for it. So those were the loons. The next family of birds, you've maybe never heard of them. Next. So the grebe family. The pie-billed grebe, we can find it a lot in southern Quebec. It will even spend the summer on small bodies of water in small lakes. But the horned grebe and the red-necked grebe, which are very more colorful, a lot of orange during the spring season, those we only see in migration because they don't nest in Quebec, except for the horned grebe. There's a small population nesting in the Magdalene Islands, Île de la Madeleine. But except for the small population, they only nest west of the province of Quebec, so elsewhere in Canada. So if you want to see them, it's in May, maybe early June, and after that, it will be in October. Now the double-crested cormorant. This is a bird that we see more and more each year. It's an expansion. They are considered harmful by some people because when they nest on an island, they can cut the environment because acidic. It will be acid because of the droppings of the birds. So all the vegetation will die, and it will become a very barren land. So people don't like them because of that. They're in expansion mainly because of the fisheries. So there's a lot of food that is accessible to them because of the action of fishing. There's a certain control that is made to some population by killing the eggs with chemicals. And there are talks about opening a hunting season for the cormorant. This one you probably know, the northern gannet. In Quebec, on the Île Bonaventure in Gaspésie, we have the biggest colony in America, with more than 50,000 couples nesting on the island. So if you have the chance to visit, you should surely take it. I think I will go back to eBird just to show you. I was prepared. I will select the video. No, it's here to show you what it looks like if you've never seen the images. So this is a very small part of the colony. Here we have a better idea of what it looks like. We can see a young here. I will go back. There's a little bug. Try that again. There you can see a young, a brown with a brown plumage. There are two others there. So the adult is white with some yellow on the head, but it will take 3 to 4 years for the young to have its adult plumage. Sadly, the northern gannet have difficulty. The populations have difficulty. Is going down a little bit, mainly because of climate change. The fishing. There's less and less fish for them. The climate change is bad for them because the waters are becoming warmer and warmer. So again, the fish will tend to leave those areas with warm water and go in a colder water. So the adults in the nesting season will have to go far away from the colony to find food, to find fish. And sometimes it's so long before they come back that their young on the nest can die before they return, die of hunger. So that's a problem for the species. The avian flu can be a problem too, because as you've seen, the birds are very close to each other in the colony. So if one individual is sick, the flu will be passed to the others very quickly. So that's why avian flu has a strong effect on those kinds of birds. Common eiders that we've seen at the beginning of the presentation are affected by avian flu a lot too, because they too nest in a colony where the individuals are very close. Now we have a bird that we know very well, the Canada goose, but we have its cousin too, Brent. It doesn't have the white cheek patch. It only has a small white line on the neck. It's smaller than the Canada goose too. Maybe you've seen, if you're a hunter, maybe you've seen this bird. And we also have the snow goose that we find in the southern parts of the province, but that will go nest very high in the Arctic. Now for the ox family, we have the common mure, the razorbill. Those are birds that nest in on rocky islands. Some of them will lay their eggs directly on the rock and it will not always be in the nest. It can be directly on the rock, kind of like you can see under the razorbill. And they produce cone-shaped egg so that the eggs don't roll down the islands. So because they're cone-shaped, they will, if they want to move, they will move in circle instead of going in a straight line and then maybe fall off the island. So that's an adaptation of those birds. Now you have the Atlantic puffin, the parakeets of the sea, the clowns of the sea. Those can be found. There's a very nice colony in the Mingan archipelago on the Parakeet Island, Île aux Perroquets. You can go and visit the puffin colony, and you can see them very close. Like on the picture was taken on this island. So that's another colony I recommend you to go visit if you have the chance. And there's also the black guillemot that's all black in the spring with only two white patches on the wings. And those patches, they will keep them all year long. But in winter, the black plumage will become gradually white, and they will, by the end of by the fall, they will be all white with only a little bit of black on the head, on the wings, and on the back. So that's a bird that changes a lot during the year. Now the gulls are very difficult to identify. That can be a nightmare for some people because they all look a little alike. They're white birds with silvery mantles, and that's for the adult. But the other hard part to identify for the identification is that only the adults look like that. The youngs all have different variations of plumage and they're very similar. When they're young, among the species, they're all very similar. So when you see a young gull, it's very hard to tell the species. So here we have the ring-bill gull that we can find almost everywhere in southern Quebec, in the McDonald's parking lot, but also at the beach. And those are birds that can easily adapt to humans, so that's why we find them everywhere around us. That's a very small gull. And I put in comparison another small gull, the Iceland gull. This one is found in the northern parts of Quebec, and they will go high to nest in the Arctic too. Now we have the herring gull. So I put examples for this species to show you the variation in plumage. This gull is bigger than the two that we've seen before. It's larger. And as you can see, when it's young on the right picture, it's all brown. So it's pretty easy to recognize it because it's all brown, but as it ages during the next couple years, it would look like the picture on the left. So at this stage, it can become difficult to be sure that it's one species and not the other. Now the biggest of the gulls, the larger gulls, the great black-backed gull and the glaucous gull. So the one on the left, the black-backed, has a black back, so it's very easy to recognize. And the one on the right, like the Iceland gull, is all white, and it's also a gull that we will find in the northern Quebec, so in the northern parts. So it's very similar to Iceland gull, but it's bigger, it has bigger proportions. So those two can be tricky to identify, to recognize. Now for the smaller gulls, the ones with the black hood, there are a lot of gull species with black hood that we can find in Quebec, but most of them are pretty rare. So I only put the Bonaparte's gull that we can find, that we can see almost everywhere in migration, and the black-legged kittiwake. That's in the same family, but it's called the kittiwake. Honestly, I didn't do the research. I don't know why it's called a kittiwake, but I'm sure a Google search could answer that. This one, the black-legged kittiwake, doesn't have a black hood. Maybe that's why it's called like that. And I chose a picture where we see a juvenile, because the adult look a lot like the other gulls with the gray mantle and the white head and belly. So the young has a lot of black marks on its plumage and black legs. And last but not least, the terns. They can look a lot like the gulls, but they only have a black cap, and they always have a pointy, thinner bill, and the bill is orange. So those are the things that you can look at to differentiate them. They often have, especially in spring, they have long tails too. That can be another thing to look for. So as you can see, the tern species are very alike. They look a lot like each other. I've put them all next to each other to show you. It's mainly the main thing to differentiate them is the shape, if they're small or big, and you can recognize them by the call too. They all make a different call. So the smallest one is the Arctic tern. It will nest high up in the Arctic, and in winter it will go down all the way to Antarctic. So that's a bird that makes very big migrations every year. The common tern is the most common one. We can find it in a lot of places in Quebec. And the last one is the Caspian tern. That's the biggest tern, and we can find it in the southern regions. So that was it for the main species that we can find along the St. Lawrence River. There are many others, but I cannot show them all to you. But at the end of the presentation, I will go back and show you some families of birds that we can find near the river. But for now, we'll take a break from the birds, and I will show you the eBird platform, and we'll go back to the platform. I've already used it earlier to show you some pictures, some videos, but I will show you what else this platform, this website can give you. So that's what it looks like. Um, this is a place where you can submit bird sightings, but you can also go look at pictures, listen to the bird sounds. You can see the distribution maps. You can go see which hotspots are the best, which where the birds were seen. So if you want to know something about the birds in your region or all over the world, this is the place that you should go. So we will go and explore. So I've shown you the species map earlier. We will choose another species, Caspian tern. So if you want to know where to find the bird, where it was seen, simply enter the name of the species. You can zoom in. We'll go in Quebec. And you can see all the places where the bird was seen. The red dots are the places where it's been seen recently. The other ones can be of any year. So as you can see in this site where I go often, one was seen the July 9 of July, 29 of June. So it's a bird that is seen pretty often in the Quebec region. We will go back to our Explorer. And we will explore hotspots. We will go back. Let's see. Let's go in Wendake, where I am right now. So the hotspots are places where the birds are mostly found. There's a great diversity of birds, great numbers of birds. So they will be designated like hotspots. And when you want to submit sightings, you can submit them directly in the hotspot. I will show you. Let's take this one is not, there's not a lot of lists. Let's take the Parc Chauveau. So when you submit a list, you can like I said, put it right in the hotspot, and you can go visit and look at what was seen at the hotspot, who was there. So this website is a little bit like a social media platform too. That's a science platform, but the people who developed it wanted people to use it too. So they tried to make the website and they want people to go on it to use it. So you can post your pictures, you can post your bird lists. Here only 2 species, here, well, 25 species, that's better. So that's what it looks like when people submit their sightings. They're all the list of the birds that were seen or heard. The person, Christian, even published a picture of a broad-winged hawk. So this picture can be seen by anybody in the world. If they are looking for pictures of a broad-winged hawk, they can find this picture. So if you put pictures on the platform, your name will always be associated to it, and people will know that it's you who have taken the picture. All right. And the last thing I wanted to show you, it's on my eBird. So you even have your own profile. You can see your numbers. If you're somewhat of a collector, you like to check lists. That's a great way to do it. As you can see, this is the account for the FNQ LSDI. Pinishish is bird in Innu. So in the province of Quebec, for the project, we have observed 149 species, and we've made 302 complete checklists. And this number can go up in the next years if we see some new species. So you can see your latest checklists. You have numbers by the month, by the year. and you have the number of species you've observed in each region. So if you like to keep track of the birds you've seen, this is a wonderful website. All right, I hope we will use it and you will have fun with it. Next, we will talk about the gear. So if you want to make good bird survey, you will need to be well equipped. So I will go over what you can use to make great surveys and have fun while watching birds. So first are the binoculars. This is the main tool of the bird watcher. We always have them around our neck, and as soon as we see something move in a bush, we put the binoculars up and we try to find the bird and identify it. Um, I've put the three main companies that I know, but I don't know a whole lot about all the models um, of the binoculars. So I've put a link um, uh, at the base of the slide on the site Go Oiseau. They've made a very complete review of which binoculars you should buy depending on what is your budget. So I recommend you to go check this review. Um, for the companies that I've put in the presentation, Swarovski and Zeiss are the two top brand if you want the best binoculars there are. Uh, you should go to Swarovski or Zeiss, but be warned that it's very costly. So it can be a couple $1,000s. I use the company Vortex. They have a life warranty that is very solid. That's made their reputation, and they have a great range of prices. You can buy a good pair of binoculars for $250, and if you want more quality, you can go higher in the price. And Vortex is a very good company for that. Next is the spotting scopes. This one is very important if you want to make a water bird survey. If you want to go on the St. Lawrence River and see all the ducks very far away, you will need a spotting scope. And for the scope, I recommend you to invest a little more money because you want to have a great quality. And if you have a scope that's cheaper, some of the birds that you see far away, you will not be able to see them properly and identify them. So that's why I recommend to put a little more money in the spotting scopes. Again, Vortex is a great company. You can have cheaper spotting scopes if it's only that the budget allows. And me personally, I use the Koa brand. It's a Japanese and it's very good quality. So if you want to invest in a very great scope, I recommend this brand, but there are other brands too. And again, I've put the link down below for the review on the Go Oiseau site. Now the camera, it's less essential, I would say, but it's a great tool to have because it will freeze what you're seeing in time so that later you can go back to it. And if you're not sure of what bird species you are looking at, take a picture, and later when you arrive home, you can look at the picture and analyze it and try to maybe show it to other people so they can help you. So this is a great tool for beginners and for experts. You don't absolutely need it. You will see the birds with the scopes and the binoculars, but it can be a great tool to add a little bit some couple other species to your list. I've put the two main brands, Canon and Nikon, but I don't know a lot about cameras. So if you know a great deal, you're probably better than me to choose which camera you should use. And now the field guides. I will present you three field guides. So paper guides. They're less and less used because of the phones that we always have in our pockets and all the apps. But it can be good to buy a good field guide and to study the birds with it so that you are ready when you go out. And then when you are out, you can use the apps. The one presented here is the Sibley guide. Is the I think is the best guide there is on the market. The paintings, the illustrations are great. They look a lot like the birds, like you would see them in real life. There are the distribution maps, some descriptions, some tips to help identify them. So that's the main one I would recommend. But there are other brands that are good too. But that's only is my favorite. If you want to push it a little further, you can buy the Peterson Sea Watching Guide, and those are the water birds in flight. You will often see them in flight, the birds, when you're looking to the scope. Sometimes they're on the water, but often they're flying, and you have to be able to identify them when they're flying too. And it can be a real challenge. Not all the ducks are like the white-winged scholar and easily recognizable from afar. So this guide is good for that to practice and get used to see the ducks in flight. And this guide uses pictures, which is a good thing because there are, as you can see on the slide, there are pictures from afar, from close up, with different lighting. So those are all situations that you will encounter on the field. So better get used to see them in a lot of ways. So this guide is great for that. And lastly, if you really want to become an expert at the seabirds, this one cover all the seabirds in the world. So it can be fun to learn about other species that we don't have here. And if you travel, it will be a guide that will be very helpful for you. So this is just a bonus, but already with the Cible guide, you will have everything you need. Now the apps, as I said, we have always now our phone in our pocket. So I have the Cible guide. So the paper guide that I've shown you in the beginning, this is the version, the app version that you can have on your cell phone. It's pretty cheap. It's not a big amount of money to buy it. So you find everything that is in the paper guide, but what is a great addition is the sounds of the birds that you can play them on your cell phone and always have them with you. So if you hear a bird sound and you're not sure what it is, you can check and compare with the Cible guide. Speaking of hearing birds, another app that is becoming very popular is the Merlin Bird ID app. As I said, if you're hearing a bird, you don't recognize it, you don't have necessarily to go look it up in your Cible guide. You can just hit the sound button on the Merlin application and it will identify birds automatically. So it's AI, it's working with AI. So it's pretty good, but it can make mistakes. So take note that it's always the human who should decide which bird species it is. Merlin will give you tips, will give you suggestions, but it's always you who should have the last word and be sure that you're really hearing what Merlin is saying. I will show you the different sections that you can use on this app. So the criterias, you can select criterias and submit them to Merlin. So let's say you've seen a big bird, it was brown and it was swimming. So it will make you suggestions. Here is the Canada goose. So it was right. It will make other suggestions just in case it didn't find the right bird. You can submit pictures. Here I submitted a Barrow's GoldenEye and it found it right away, even if the picture was not of great quality. So good thing for the app. This is the function that I've talked about just a little bit earlier, the sound option. So you hit the sound button and it will record what all the birds singing and it will identify them live. So that's a very cool feature. But as I said, it can make mistakes. So you have to make sure that it's giving you the correct species. Next, you can explore the birds around you. If you give your localization to Merlin, it will go in the eBird platform. It's connected to eBird, and it will give you the birds that were submitted near you. So you have, even before you go outside, you will have an idea of what birds you could encounter on the field. And lastly, the life list feature. So again, it's connected to eBird, so it will go look at what are the species that you've seen in your life, and it will present you your life list on the application. That can be a cool feature if you're a collector. I didn't just want to show you the Cornell Lab apps like eBird or Merlin. So I searched for other apps that were on the market. I found this one, Audubon Bird app. You can submit, like the first feature I've shown you in Merlin, you can submit some criteria that you've seen on Bird, and it will make you suggestion, but it doesn't use AI like Merlin do. So it's more limited what you can do with the Audubon app. But if you want to use something else, that can be an option. For the last part of the presentation, we'll go back to the birds. I wanted to show you some other birds families that we haven't seen in the first part of the webinar. Birds that are not on the water, but that live near the water. They feed, they nest near the water. So first we have the shorebirds. The shorebirds are very diverse. They all kind of look alike, but they are all different if you know what to look for. So for this first slide, I chose two families, the plovers and the sandpipers. The plovers have very smaller bills than the sandpipers. And the sandpiper group often have long legs and long bills, but not always. Here I've put a yellow leg on the right and another sandpiper on the left, just to show you the diversity of species. And there are many more. This one you probably know, the great blue heron, that we can see more and more north. Probably because of the climate change, it can use unfrozen body of waters in the winter, and in the summer it will go explore further and further north. We often see them on the side near the shore fishing. And to finish the presentation, I will show you some birds of prey. You maybe know the osprey, the bird that will dive in the water with his talons first and will try to catch fish. And hopefully they are not too heavy, the fishes that they catch, because they will have difficulty to get out of the water with them. Probably know the bald eagle too, a very big bird of prey. It can hunt fish and ducks, but sometimes it will not hunt by himself. Because it's so big and strong, it can intimidate other birds of prey and steal their prey. And the last one is the peregrine falcon. This one is very well known too. It's the fastest living creature in the world. When they dive in the air to fall on the prey, they can reach speeds to 150 kilometers per hour. And that's most of the time, but the record that was registered was more than 300 kilometers per hour. So this bird can be really fast, but most of the time it will not go well over 150. Well, thank you very much. I'm very glad that you participated in this webinar. Know that if you have any question, you can contact us at the FNQ LSDI. If you take pictures of bird, you're not able to identify them, you can send them to me or to my team, and we will identify them for you if the picture is good enough. And don't hesitate to use eBird to go watch birds on the territory, in the woods, on the side of the water, and submit your sightings. First Nations occupy the land. You are everywhere on the land, so you can produce very important and very good bird data that you can send directly into eBird, and it will help science and it will help the conservation of the bird species. So I hope to see you soon, and I hope that I will see your eBird sightings in the near future. Thank you very much. See you later.